From the NewsTalkSTL studios in St. Louis, it's the Right Mind Show with Todd Schowalter. On tonight's episode, who won the presidential debate with political trivia savant Rich Rubino, Byron Keelin of Freedom Principle, Missouri, and the Right Mind studio band, Mitch Murphy and the Murphy Tones. Now, putting the fun in your dysfunctional world, here's your host, Todd Schowalter.
Well, I guess I have to do it. I don't know if you saw my Facebook post. Did you see my Facebook post? I just posted, so I guess you didn't see it.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, well, it's brand new. That's why you didn't see it. But I guess I now have to officially do it. I got the signs back out, the VOTE signs. I think I have to go. They're pulling me back, Joey. They're pulling me. It's like The Godfather. Remember Al Pacino? Yeah, I wanted to get out, but they keep pulling me back. That's what it's like. And so now I have to, after this debate debacle the other night, I have officially had to re-enter the race as a candidate for whatever I'm running for.
And it sounds like because it's a .org, VOTETODD.org, that it's a nonprofit. Just like everything you do, it's a nonprofit.
That's why I did it, because it's organization, as they say in Canada. Okay, it's an organization. So .todd.org. Now, here's the important part. Okay, are you ready for this? You're sitting down, you get your headphones on. That's great. As you know, I've had multiple campaigns and multiple people that have supported me or not supported me. And in the past, my running mates, I've had Trixie, the inflatable party doll. She was quite popular.
Floating mate for her.
She actually floated. She's actually a flotation device. Okay, so I always brought her along. If I were flying, which I was never doing, and the plane would go down to water, I could hang on to Trixie, which I was doing anyway, and then float on her. Anyway, she was always very popular. And then I had Bubbles.
Don't say pop around Trixie. Go on.
Pop. Yeah, well, then, do you remember Bubbles? He was the electric clapping monkey. I mean, he was my running mate.
Great teeth on that guy.
He was a great day. Yeah, he clattered and stuff like that. And people, they said, we don't like Bubbles, and I don't know why. So anyway, I got all, yeah. So Trixie is gone. She floated away. Bubbles, he clattered away, or whatever you want to call him. So now that I am pulled back into this presidential race at VOTETODD.org, I need a running mate. And I think you, my friend, should be my running mate for this whole new, this 6-week, 7-week campaign. I can't think of anything that would top a party doll or a clapping monkey better than you, my friend.
You did ask me wear all Adidas tracksuit today, and I thought, well, what is that for? Running mate.
So you're
it makes
running
sense now.
Mate. So now you get it. So you don't have to do any of the things that inflatable Trixie used to do to me on the side, or I did to her, I should say. And you don't need batteries. You don't have to clap cymbals or anything like that. You just be you. And I think together we may make a perfect team and maybe save this dang country, because after the debate, what did you think of that debate?
I was hanging out with my lady, so we had better things to do. But she hopped into the shower, so I had 20 minutes all to myself, and I decided I'm going to turn on NewsTalkSTL and listen to the debate because I want to hear how the station's going. Sometimes you have a board op that'll just screw it up. They'll just start getting on the mic and they'll say, I'm Donald Trump, come on. And they don't actually play the real audio. We have a couple people that are really into puppets.
Puppets.
Yeah. So what
Chris Arps?
Yeah, Chris Arps. He was running the board during the debate, and he was trying out his Jeff Dunham routine, trying to match the voices.
I hate
and stuff.
when he does that. Did he pull off his sock? Because he always takes his socks and shoes off, and he gets in. I go, Chris, you really don't have to do this. And he goes, no, watch this, and he puts his hand in those smelly socks, and I go, I don't want to watch this. But go ahead, finish your story.
And he was throwing his voice thing. And I was like, well, no one can see you on the radio. You don't have. Doesn't matter if your lips aren't moving. So I called him up and I said, cut it out. Turn on ABC or whatever channel you got and just play it like normal.
Right.
So I finally tuned in, heard the actual debate, and it was this bizarre question that seemed like it was just to attack Trump, where they said, so you said Kamala is black now. What's that about? Like they were doing a Dennis Miller. What's that about? I was like, I don't think Kamala can even answer that question. This seems like it's just directed at Trump. It was a funny way to ask, when did you stop beating your wife, Mr. Trump?
And they kind of just threw him under the bus. I mean, I didn't really understand it. And one of the things, not only was she baiting him with stuff, but they were baiting him with stuff as well. I mean, it's pretty much like, so when did you stop being such a rotten person? I mean, yeah, you're right. It's like the old, is this the first time you've ever beat your wife types of situation.
I do like that power move that Kamala did right off the bat, where she ran all the way to his side of the stage to shake his hand. I think I'm going to start doing that to people. If you're in the Capitol, just stand outside the men's room or something and just shove your hand underneath the door while they're sitting and just like, hi, nice to meet you.
Oh, yeah. Well, I do that.
Dominance is what that does.
I do that at the restroom here. Mm-hmm. I mean, I just reach my hand underneath the stall door, and, whoever's there, I just wait for them to grab it, and sometimes they don't hand me their hand.
There was talk about them having to stay in their positions because when Trump was debating Hillary, he stood behind her kind of ominous with his arms crossed and looked over her shoulder so he'd pop up behind her in the camera. So it seemed like they were trying to avoid that. So with Kamala avoiding his bubble, I don't know. He should have got out that Never Trumper spray that Ken and Vic use on the morning show.
Oh, they use that a lot, too. Well, I was kind of concerned about her because I thought she was having a stroke. Did you notice that her face kept contorting into different expressions and things like that? And my wife says, oh, she's just trying to do a woman thing here to show that she can talk through her face. And I go, nah, I don't think so. I think she's having a stroke. And I kept waiting for her whole left side of her face to get really droopy. And at one point it did. I think she was trying to make the expression like, Donald, you're stupid or something. But no, it looked like she was having a stroke. Now, was she having a stroke?
A woman thing. This sounds more like a Batman villain thing, like a Jack Nicholson smile with an Aaron Eckhart two-face, just one side a little droopy and covered in acid.
Aaron Eckhart. He hasn't been in many things lately. He was filming a movie here that was actually shot. His scenes were shot at the AT&T building, which is not even, they sold for like $2.
Mm-hmm. I hope he got that in his contracts, part of the residuals or something. He can go and camp on the 82nd floor and look down and whiz right there on Market Street.
Yeah, well, I've done that myself. Mm-hmm. Back to the debate, though. Yeah, it was really quite something, and he wasn't prepared. The one reason one thing I took away from it, I kind of bonded with him because I remember in school, that I would always be called upon or have to go up and give a report or something like that. And my teacher always knew that I never read the book, and B, I never showed up or took notes or anything. So it reminded me of having to go up there and just kind of BS my way through things. And I think that he was just not prepared for her in all her evilness, because I think she is rather evil. And I think that kind of came through that, and so that really kind of I connected with that. I empathized. You know what I mean? I knew where he was coming from, and that made me decide to get into the political race that you're going to be my campaign running mate with.
Are we siphoning votes off of either candidate, or are we're not going to be on the ballot? We like the sign game, really.
It is the sign game. And my signs, by the way, as they say on them, as you can see on Facebook, or go to VOTETODD.org, like an organization. VOTETODD.org. Well, that's going to be at the inauguration party, but that's all different. We're going to get Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi all lubed up. No, we're not. Anyway, Nancy. Oh, that's a Ronald Reagan. You said, by the way, I'm all over the board again because you said I might be able to go see Reagan for free.
Well, the station actually hooked up with the theater down the street, Old B&B. Old B&B, that SOB B&B, the great theater over there at West Olive and Creve Coeur.
Yeah.
They decided to throw us a theater in exchange for us mention their name a little bit, B&B. And so we can go and watch Reagan Saturday, November 14th at noon. Bring all your friends and family if you have a pass and you work here. Well, you don't have either, do you?
No, I don't have, because I am purposely, because they always say, hey, we got any free stuff, make sure Todd doesn't know about it.
Yeah, we put a lock on the swag bags.
Yeah, remember this baseball situation where I just wanted to go? I was hungry that day, and I wanted to go to the luncheon that everybody was apparently invited to, even if you were an intern to the secretary to the parking attendant, you got invited to this thing, okay? And I thought, great, I get to go to the Cardinals luncheon. And what happened? Remember? What happened? You tell the story.
Chip Carey, the announcer, said, "Where the hell is Todd?"
And I went to school with Chip. I sat right next to him on several occasions. He looks a lot different than he did in high school, by the way. He was a much larger boy at that time, and he slimmed down, and he looks good now. But it has nothing to do with this. I was looking forward to seeing Chip and eating chips, potato chips, that is. And Joe Rush here at the station says, no, Todd's not part of the station, apparently.
We won't vouch for him.
Isn't that what he said? Is he embarrassed by me?
I think a little bit. You embarrass him a little bit.
A little bit. What could I possibly do that's embarrassing?
I guess you'd go up to Bill DeWitt III and you'd ask a question like, how come we can see the dongs through the pants of the Cardinals? Yeah. Oh, wait, someone else did that. That wasn't even you. Someone else embarrassed the entire radio community. It was specifically radio broadcasters' day.
I think it was you.
It's funny. Radio's having hard times, except NewsTalkSTL. We're freaking sponsors out the butt. There's so many sponsors here.
And now, Ethan, he's going to help us with our show. show, it's just going to be the cash is going to be like just raining out of the sky.
Salesman Ethan, you told him today that, know what, I printed off about 10,000 of these little mailers with my rates for the station and sponsored.
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, get me 25. And you carried in a stack of 1,000. You're like, here you go. Well, I put 1,000 more under the windshield wiper of your car, too.
Well, that's just it, because you can get these things printed, okay? And for the same, you can get 500, or for like a quarter or more, you can get like 250,000.
Supersize it.
I know. I figured, what the heck? So I've got a U-Haul I've got on the way coming over here. They're going to dump these all over Ethan's car, and he can just and he goes, it's what he told me. He goes, I don't need that many. And I said, oh, just throw them out wherever you want. So I'm pretty sure it's going to be raining quiche over here.
It's a good strategy to throw something in the back of the U-Haul and then just open that gate while you're going down the highway barreling at 80 miles an hour, and they just start flying out.
It's that.
Few of them will stick to a windshield. It'll work.
But you're saying, back to the Reagan thing, that we can go to this for free if we just mention the B&B Theater, that is, correct?
If you mention it one more time, you can go.
Okay, I think that's the place that I had the horrible accident at. And, should I mention that?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Unless you're talking about when you went to the arcade and accidentally won too many tickets and you had to take home a PlayStation 5.
Oh, wow.
I hate when that happens.
No, I hate when that happens. That didn't happen. I'll just leave the whole accident thing out of it. Speaking of winning, get this. I'm going to give a shout out to one of our listeners. She's a good friend. She just had a birthday. I am not making this up. You just kind of led me into this. Her name's Judy Graham, okay?
Hey, Judy.
Hey, Judy.
Beatles wrote that song about you. I remember.
They did.
Judy.
You know, it's something like, get this. Now, this woman, okay, who's a good friend of mine. She's a lovely woman. And her husband, he's very nice too. But she is like, when you go gambling, because you and I and your lovely girlfriend and my wife, we went to the horse races last weekend, had a wonderful time, and we won like, $2 or $3. Big deal, and that was fine. Judy Graham, it's her birthday. She likes going to these casinos and playing the slots. Mm-hmm. Every time she goes, she wins money. I wish her a happy birthday because it was last week. And she said, and I say, I hope it was a wonderful day. And you know what she says? Oh, it was a wonderful day, Todd. I won $18,000. I thought, what? And so she sends me this picture of her smiling in front of the I have it right here. Everybody can see it on the radio. In front of the slot machine. She won it was like $17,900 and something playing the slot machine, like on a $100 bet or something like that. And I was just taken aback. She goes, oh, don't get so surprised. Just a couple of months ago, I won $8,000. This woman, every time she goes to the casino, I'm surprised they let her in the door.
I want to see her P&L sheet. And if you're not into business like we are, economics professors in California have taught us how to be smart about this.
Oh, we are.
Your P&L, your profits and loss. I'd like to know how many toasters she's up and how many thousands of dollars she's down.
Well, I don't know, but they comp her for everything. So I think you have to lose. No, wait, you do have to lose a lot to get comped, don't you?
Yeah, get those crab legs.
Get those crab. Oh, do you like crab legs? Why are crab legs do you think they're just more trouble than they're worth?
That's part of it. It's like finding a treasure inside a castle or something.
I'm a pirate. I like to eat my crab legs.
They give you a little there's toolkits that come with it. You get a little hammer, you get a little crimpy crimp, and then bam, bust it open, and then get a shell paper cut and slice yourself open.
That's what it is. And you had those little like lobster crackers or whatever the hell they are.
Put some lemon in the wound. It makes you a stronger boy.
And whenever you cut, you're right, because you have like those little hairline like flesh cuts, and then you have the lemon, and it burns like hell.
My girlfriend's grandma used to have a gambling addiction, and she'd come home with new TVs, and every Christmas you'd get barbecue utensils.
Yeah.
And it'd say Harrah's on it. And you're like, well, that's cool that she's winning so much. And then finally someone checked into the accounts, and she had to move out of her house, and we had to keep her monitored 24/7.
Yeah, but she had a toaster. Do you say she had a toaster? Just no house to plug it into.
Nowhere to plug it into.
Well, that is kind of...
She started getting an allowance after we looked into her finances.
Really? So you took over her finances after she'd won a whole, like $1 million toasters?
Uh-huh. Too many toasters and not enough actual cash.
So wait a minute. You had an intervention with somebody that was winning toasters.
Mm-hmm.
On that note, we have a big show coming up here today. We got Rich Rubino coming on to talk about this dang debate. He doesn't know that you and I are running, though, but that's going to be a big surprise. We got Byron Keelin from the Freedom Principle. He's coming on to talk to us. Admiral Andy, we call him AWOL Andy now. He's not Admiral because we don't know what in the hell happened to Andy. He just disappeared. I think he's been deployed to Mars or something in a submarine. So I don't know.
We invited him to the horse track, and he did not show up.
Nope, he didn't. He gave us some excuse. He said, look, I'm a big PETA activist now, and riding the horses, that's mean. Which, by the way, we actually did win a few of the races, didn't we? Okay?
Yeah.
We did really well. And and you didn't believe me, and your lovely girlfriend, I don't think she believed me either, that it was all because of my friend, Stan the Little Man. Mm-hmm. Stan the Little Man, who also, he's like a spy jockey, okay? He dresses up like a jockey. Hey, everybody, it's me, Stan. They're like, oh, who is Stan? And so anyway, it's like Stan pretends to be a jockey. He gave me the inside scoop, or poop, on who was going to win that race. And what did we do, my friend? What did we do?
We won every single race. Spy jockey with intelligence. I'm going to call him Mr. Spocky.
Yeah, right. Mr. Spocky the jockey. I think that's, yeah. I like that. Okay, on that note, when we come back, we're going to have Rich Rubino, or we could have Byron Keelin. I don't know which order this is going to be in, but I do know that Joey and I are going to be here, along with Mitch, who's on a, you know how they have those hunger, what are those things where they go?
Yeah, Mr. Gandhi did a hunger strike once for peace. I think he's doing it.
He's on a music strike. He says, I'm doing a music strike right after 3 weeks after he just got that news contract extension. So, he must be, I think he's a socialist. I don't know, but he doesn't like to work anymore. But we're going to find out what's going on with Rich when we come back. In the meantime, I'm Todd Schowalter, my good buddy and running mate at VOTETODD.org. This is The Right Mind Show. We'll be right back.
Coming up next on The Right Mind Show with Todd Schowalter, Todd's dad's favorite guest, Rich Rubino, breaks down the presidential debate. Welcome back to The Right Mind Show with Todd Schowalter on NewsTalkSTL. And now a man who was built to run for office and has the calves to prove it, Todd Schowalter.
Yeah, we're back. I'm Todd Schowalter, along with my buddy Joey V on The Right Mind Show. And on the line now is the official Right Mind political analyst, reporter, you name it, anything political. I mean, if we need the inside scoop, this is our guy, Rich. Oh, and also my dad's favorite person on the show, Rich Rubino. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me on again, Todd.
Oh, it's always a highlight. I got to tell you, I'm just going to jump into it. I don't know what to think about Tuesday's debate. I mean, it was really a lot of surprises. Right off the bat, I don't think Donald Trump was as prepared as he should have been. I kind of think Kamala Harris was over-prepared because a lot of the stuff seemed in the can. And I don't know what to think about the moderators, but enough about me. What was your take on this whole thing?
I think that's actually a pretty good analysis. I think that from the beginning, I don't think Donald Trump really wanted to shake her hand. He probably had the same strategy of not doing it that he did with Joe Biden, but she came right over and shook his hand, probably caught him a little bit off guard with respect to that. But I think if you listen to what the coverage of what people are talking about in terms of Donald Trump, part of it is when he was talking about the theory about Haitian migrants eating pets. That's really what took over the landscape, despite the fact that he actually had a pretty good first 15 minutes when he was talking about the economy, saying that the country was better off under him than under Vice President Harris and President Trump. But then, and then that's obviously something you can argue either way. But then once that came into being, I think that kind of took over everything else.
Yeah, and I kept my wife and I watched it, and I kept saying it's almost like a prize fight, like back in the day when Ali would fight Norton or something like that, and it was you knew where the jabs were going to be coming from, you knew it was going to happen, and I even said to her, I think his strategy should have been just to play more rope-a-dope, where just let her get those zingers in, let her try to get under his skin, and just take it and take it until you can come back with your powerful stuff. But he didn't. He took the bait right away, in my opinion, and she knew. I'll credit her that. I mean, she knew to criticize his rallies and saying people leave and to get in. I mean, it just seemed like he took the bait on every single one, and I think that was what kind of did him in, if you want to put it that way. What do you think?
Well, it's interesting because there are certain canned lines that candidates prepare. That's a reason why Vice President Harris spent 5 days in seclusion in Pittsburgh trying to prepare for this debate. She had certain lines. Now, obviously, you can't make it so that your entire speech is about is just stating the same thing over and over again. Eventually, you can almost be too on message. But she knew what message to deliver, I think. And I think I think she was waiting the whole time for that, for saying, why don't you go? I invite you to attend Trump rallies. Most people that she's talking to that are swing voters probably aren't going to actually attend a Trump rally. But what she's saying is kind of and Trump took the bait. She's saying, you go to these rallies and he talks about things like windmills causing cancer, and then other people tend to leave because they're bored. Whether that's true or not, the fact of the matter is she won the day in terms of people hearing that, and now people are thinking maybe the rallies aren't necessarily devoted Trump supporters. There might be people that go there and actually leave. Whether that's true or not, we don't know. But the fact of the matter is she put out the question, and the appearance of putting out the question is probably it's like what they say about improprieties. The appearance of impropriety is as big as an impropriety.
Oh yeah, and you brought up the whole eating the pet situation. It seems like every debate. Going back to Reagan and Mondale, there you go again type thing. It seems like it comes down to sound bites or little clips or something like that, where you have people that they may not remember the whole debate, or they may not remember even the good parts or the bad parts. But whether it's a visual, whether a fly on somebody's head, or whether it's a little sound bite, it seems those are the things that really click, or not, stick, I should say. If you were to kind of examine this particular debate, what do you think those were? Do you think it was, the eating the pets, or, do you think, what do you think the majority of people took away from that, from a small clip type of situation?
I think I remember George H.W. Bush and Dukakis were debating back in 1988, and Dukakis gave an answer and kind of flubbed about how we'd reduce the deficit, and George H.W. Bush came right in and said, "Is this the time for one-liners?" That answer is about as clear as Boston Harbor, and because Boston Harbor was an issue that Dukakis had been seen as failing, trying to clean up. But I think that the main line that people are going to remember, when you go back 20 years from now, is going to be Trump's talking about pets. He kind of took the bait. It was something that was kind of a conspiracy theory on the outer periphery of the internet. Now he put it in the minds of 60 million Americans. So that's part of it. But the other thing would be Vice President Harris saying, bar none, go to a Trump rally and see what he says. Now, instead of actually going, I think most people that would not actually go, but they might actually just say, I'm going to watch one on television. And then if you're not somebody who's an ardent Trump supporter, attending a Trump rally is probably not to your benefit. It's more about galvanizing the base than it is trying to bring in persuadable voters in the center. So I think I understand what her strategy is by saying that. And as I say, most of those people are not going to go to the event, but maybe the next time they see it on TV, they're actually going to keep it on.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I think if I were to take anything away from a really negative standpoint, they both got their jabs in, they did what they had to do personally. But I got to tell you, when it comes to us as the American people, I still don't know. I don't understand what her policies actually are. I don't know what his plans actually are going to be. He's going to bring back, he's going to make the best economy again in the world. Well, how are we going to go about doing that? What are we going to do? If we're going to get rid of all the immigrants, how are we going to go about doing that? And even with her, she's got this new opportunity economy or whatever the heck that is. But nobody really came out and said, this is my plan, this is why you should vote for me, because this is what I'm going to do right off the bat. It just seemed like, it was more of a character assassination type of debate rather than policies. And do you think, do you think a lot of other Americans, the viewing public, even worldwide, you think that they were let down? That was something that should have been talked about more?
Yes, it was like, I remember when Elizabeth Warren ran for president, her slogan was, I have a plan. Whether you liked it or not, she would iron out how she specifically would do what she wanted to do. In this case, you have two candidates that are really speaking in platitudes. They really are. They're talking about making the economy great, making America great again on the one side. On the other side, it's very much platitude, saying, I'm going to bring a child tax care credit, without saying how you're going to pay for it, and how that, when the other thing, really the elephant in the room, is just a national debt over $30 trillion. And if you have a national debt over $30 trillion, how is this going to pay for itself? Where are you going to take the money? Where's it going to come from? How are you going to spend the money on this? If you give the American people tax credits, how will it be able to make up for it on kind of the other side of the ledger? That's something that neither of the candidates really brought up. It's very easy to come out and you speak at a rally and talk about all these great things you're going to do and speak in platitudes. But at the end of the day, once you actually get elected, first of all, your plan actually has to pass Congress. So what I would have asked Vice President Harris is, what would you, if the Republicans currently have control of the House of Representatives, what happens if they continue to have control of the House of Representatives? How are you going to get this plan passed? And as Donald Trump, I'd say the Democrats currently have control of the United States Senate. It's very possible they can have control of the United States Senate again. How are you going to get that proposal passed in potentially a Democratic Congress? And where are the specifics? How are you going to pay for it? And will it be deficit neutral? And what will the effect be on the national debt?
Yeah, and I mean, that's just it. I mean, you can say anything you want, and but unless it's going to come out and actually it's going to happen, I mean, and I like to think, and maybe I'm wrong, but I mean, I like to think that the American people are smarter at this point. I mean, you still have the situation where you go to the grocery store, you know what the prices are, you know what's going on, you know the economy's hard, you know this has been people have struggled for 3.5 years. I mean. Yeah. Do you think do you think just going in with sizzle and things like that from both sides, okay, both sides are throwing the sizzle out. Do you think that's really going to sell, or do you think, because they talked about having another debate, whether that's a good idea or not, I'm not really sure. But do you think until we really know what an actual plan is, that anybody has a more concrete idea who they're going to go with? Or do you think that everybody knew who they were going to go with even before the debate?
Yeah, I do, and that's why the conventions, neither candidate really got any bounce. Usually a candidate will get 5 to 6 points of a bounce, in part because you hear somebody speaking at the convention. There's this, really galvanizing effect that brings in a lot of centrist voters. Neither candidate really had that. It was almost like if neither candidate had a convention, or if one candidate had a convention, the other didn't have a convention, they'd be basically where they are right now in the polls, which is about a draw. No matter how good or bad somebody is in debate, it's still going to be about a draw, which shows this is probably going to be, I could be completely wrong on this, but I see this as an extremely close election, which really could go either way. Last time around, 94% of Democrats voted for Joe Biden, 94% of Republicans voted for Donald Trump. The independents about split the difference. I think it's probably going to be very similar this time around. I think that no matter what happens at rallies, no matter what happens at conventions, no matter what happens in the debate, most people are basically either going to vote for Donald Trump, vote for Vice President Harris, or in some cases, maybe even disgruntled people will vote for a third-party candidate. So it really comes down to animating the base and bringing in many low-propensity voters who maybe aren't really into the political process. Maybe they'll watch the keynote address at the convention. Maybe they'll watch one of the debates, but they're probably not all that interested in it. And at the end of the day, it's about trying to tell those people you really have to come out, and you really have to potentially wait in line on a Tuesday night to vote. And if you live in one of those 7 swing states, if you live in 43 states, you're really just right now on the electoral sidelines watching this. Mm-hmm. It's an amazing process. It really comes down to comes down to tens of thousands of swing voters in 7 swing states, and it comes down, but more importantly, I think for both camps, it comes down to animating and galvanizing your base and bringing anybody who's sympathetic to you potentially out to the polls.
Yeah. Well, like I said before, they talked about having another debate, okay, or she did, and she even said, "Oh, that was fun. Let's do it again." Do you think that's a good idea? I mean, if I'm Kamala Harris, I'm going to say I don't know if I'd want another debate, but I mean, I personally, I'd love to see another one. But do you think that's a good idea?
I'd love to see 17 of them. I think they should do them every night. I think it should be like Lincoln and Douglas. They should just campaign everywhere and go to a different swing state, and maybe have 7 debates in 7 swing states, because it's like you're running for governor of Pennsylvania right now. Maybe have it all over Pennsylvania, but I think the results are going to be about the same. One thing I think it would be advantageous for Donald Trump to have another debate, because now he knows how the media is going to cover his appearances, and now he knows what not to say. And part of it is, if Donald Trump comes off as more moderate and more stable, like he did in the last debate with Hillary Clinton, I think it generally is advantageous for him. If he comes off as an ideologue, if he comes off as somebody who's, brandishing conspiracy theories in the periphery of the internet, then I don't think that necessarily is what goes well for him, except trying to animate the absolute farthest fringes of the base. Yeah,
I agree. Well, we also have coming up in October, I think it's the first week, we've got the vice presidential debates with Vance and Minnesota, what's that?
Walz.
Walz, thank you. My mind, I just see his face, and I can't put his name to his face. I keep wanting to say Elmer Fudd, but hey, I'm gonna be bipartisan here. Anyway, but you look at these two guys. I mean, after this last debate the other night, I mean, they both came on, and I was kind of interested in them to see what their thoughts were as I was in the debate itself, because I think we might get to more issues with them as these two. I mean, Kamala and Trump obviously battled it out character wise, but I mean, what do you think we can expect from that? Do you think we're going to get more answers when it comes to policies and things?
I do think so. I think they're a lot more prepared, certainly. I don't think it's going to be nearly as much of a wild card. They both actually are just a couple of years off of their last debate performances. J.D. Vance literally just got elected to the United States Senate in 2022, and he had a lot of debates in the primary, a lot of debates with Tim Ryan in the general. Tim Walz was just reelected governor in 2022, so they both have experience in debate, and they both have experience talking about what their experience respectively is. So I think that it will probably be a lot better. It's also, these are two people that, despite the fact that that they garnered a lot of media coverage, I think for the most part, there are a lot of Americans that have probably never heard them speak other than in 20-second sound bites. So it'd be great for them to hear them actually from a substantive perspective. It's not like Vice President Harris or Donald Trump, who I think are not a blank slate because the American people know them and they know whether they like them or not or don't like them. In this case, I think that it's more, I think the Americans are probably a little bit more lukewarm to both candidates, except for obviously the ideologues on both sides that either like or hate one of the others.
Mm-hmm. Well, what if you had to give to wrap things up? If you had to give advice as a consultant type of person to both of them, to Trump and Harris, I mean, what advice would you give to each one for the next debate?
For Donald Trump, I'd say be like he was in the third debate with Hillary Clinton. Don't try to take the bait. Try to come off as a statesman, if you will, and try to come off as more moderate. He kind of did that a little bit on the abortion rights question, but basically, don't come off as a guy that's writing all the time on a newspaper website anonymously. And for Vice President Harris, I would say try to do the same thing she did last time, but obviously be prepared that Trump is going to try to come off as more moderate for the most part. I would also say potentially that at the end of the day, all these rallies that you're doing and everything else, the American people have pretty much, I think, have decided. So I think it's at the point now where she really just needs to kind of galvanize her base, but she certainly doesn't need to do the opposite and take the bait that Donald Trump potentially gives. Just say what she said when Trump was talking about the Haitian migrants. She just said something like, "Boy, is that extreme," and then kind of move on. And I would continue to do. Donald Trump, by the way, I would look more at Vice President Harris when I'm talking. And in Vice President Harris's case, I would certainly do exactly what I did last time in terms of looking at Donald Trump when he's talking.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Well, I guess the biggest thing, and I know this is, especially Joey, my buddy here, my partner, this is what it all came down to for him, and I know it is a lot of other people, but now that Taylor Swift has, endorsed, Kamala, I mean, Joey called me up at 2 a.m. saying I'm as giddy as a schoolgirl, and, do you think that's going to sway a lot of people? Yeah, Joey, do you want to pipe in on that? I mean, were you really as giddy as a schoolgirl?
I'm more supportive of the cat that she had in her picture.
Oh, the cat. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm sorry.
She was bragging about being a cat lady with no children.
Phil, I apologize. I take that back. Well, back to the people out there, though. Do you think Taylor's saying that she's going to support? Do you think people are we at that stage in our society where people are going to vote based on what Taylor Swift wants them to do?
I don't think they're going to vote based on what she's going to do, but what it does is she reaches a lot of people who are not necessarily interested in politics. It's one thing if you get an endorsement of lieutenant governor, that's great, but people that actually know that would actually matter to have to know who that lieutenant governor is, and most people probably don't know that. If you're getting it from a celebrity and it's a celebrity that you follow, you're at least going to study that person. You're at least going to have a positive view of that person. The way I see it, there are 3 politicians' endorsements in the last 50 years that I think really matter. I think when Jesse Helms supported Ronald Reagan in 1976 after he'd lost 6 states, he finally won the North Carolina primary, eventually almost won the nomination. In 1980, he won the nomination. Bill Clinton in 1992, after losing Iowa and New Hampshire, Zell Miller, the governor of Georgia, endorsed him. He won his first state of Georgia, went on to win the presidency. In 2016, when Joe Biden, after losing Iowa badly, New Hampshire badly, Nevada badly, garnered the endorsement of Jim Clyburn in South Carolina, went on to win the nomination and win the presidency. And this time around, I would say Taylor Swift, simply because she can bring out so many potential low propensity voters, and she can at least give them positive feelings toward the vice president.
Okay, well, this could all really turn out to be really bad news for you, my friend, because I got to tell you, if the country does end up voting for who Taylor Swift wants, I will be living perpetually in your basement in hiding, and I probably in the fetal position. So, I hope you go ahead.
50 Cent is not spoken yet.
Oh, okay. Well, you're right. I mean, what happened to him? Well, maybe we'll wake him up. I think he's up to 75 cents now, but we'll find out. Well, my friend, it's always great to have you on the show. You're a wealth of information and just fun, and I can't wait till you come back because there's a lot coming up between now and Election Day, and I can't wait for you to fill us in on what the what the truth is on this stuff and how we can actually decipher it. So, thank you very much.
I can't wait either. Thank you so much for having me on, Todd.
All right, buddy. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
We'll do.
Well, that's Rich Rubino. I tell you, it's great to have him on. I say this before. I say this a lot, I should say, is that, he just kind of brings a whole air. He makes it sound so legit and credible, don't you think?
Yeah, you mentioned this Franklin Douglas debate. I guess I need to do more research. She said that they did maybe 30 different debates in different states or something. I'd love to see that with Trump and Kamala. Maybe not just a debate. They could switch up the activities. Maybe they could do a joust or something.
Jousting would be wonderful.
Trump does not like horses. He called Stormy Daniels a horse face, so I don't know if that means he's afraid of horses. He's not attracted to them. They could do a spelling bee, but Indian kids usually win those, and I feel like Kamala's currently
Steve.
She's currently Indian. She could wipe the floor.
You are right. You are right, but I like where you're going with this.
A thumb war? I mean, people make fun of Trump's tiny hands. We'd see up close and personal the camera on their hands, we'd finally know how tiny his hands are.
I just think tag team wrestling would be a heck of a lot of fun. Speaking of that, the Dwarfinators are coming. Did I tell you about that? Maybe
Casa Loma Ballroom on Cherokee Street.
This is right up our alley. Okay, maybe we could get Kamala and we could get Donald to take part in the Dwarfinators. We ought to have them on the show because basically what it is is live midget wrestling. You know what midget fans we are, right, Joey? And to be there in the presence of midgets actually wrestling right in front of it. I can't think of anything better.
I think it's kind of funny. The venue isn't that gigantic, but if we bring our binoculars, I can't see them. They're so tiny. We're front row.
Oh, that's what let's just go and heckle them. Hey, I got a little story to tell you. Get it? A little story?
Our shins will be bruised.
Yeah, I'll get you. I'm going to bite your kneecaps. Yeah, that could be a lot of fun.
Did you know what jockey actually took a tumble on Tuesday during the hooky races?
Really?
He's in intensive care right now. It's a shame we didn't get to see a collision on our night when we went out on Saturday.
Well, it's because
maybe the sun was in his eyes on Tuesday.
Stan, the little man. That's because he had the whole thing rigged so he could win. So there was no reason for anybody to fall off.
We said that they coat the carrots with a little bit of meth and PCP and stick it right up the keister, and that's how you know which horse is going to win. Right out the gate.
That was just like my colonoscopy I told you about. I went to the dentist and I turned out I got a colonoscopy. When you do get that dentist thing, you were talking about it earlier. I mean, I don't know why we were talking about it, but we were. But when they stick that tube in your mouth, and they say spit.
My lady says close. I like spit better.
Close.
Maybe that's her removing a pair of socks or something. Close, off.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Well, now you've got me off in left field.
My favorite part is when it's almost over and they rub the strawberry fabric on your teeth and it tastes like cherry, strawberry, or whatever. You ever get that?
No, they never do that.
They got the little swirly brush and I think it shoots cherry right in the back of your throat. And it's definitely just sugar and chemicals. It's weird that they're shoving more sugar down your throat, but I love it. That's how you know when it's almost over.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I went in for a colonoscopy and next thing you know, I have clean teeth. So I don't know. It's the kind of day I was having yesterday. Yeah, moving on. Well, when we come back, we're going to have Byron Keelin from Freedom Principle joining us. He's going to talk to us about how he thinks the media is really biased when it came to these debates, which, that kind of is common knowledge, but I want to get his take on it. Do you want to get his take on it, Joey?
Of course, and he picked the perfect name because when I think of a principal, it's literally a guy with a flat top and a cardigan sweater.
Yeah.
And when you
That's
see Byron, that's Byron right there. He's got the paddle ready. If you don't do right policy in Missouri, you get a paddling.
Well, I told you the last time I saw him, I was at my old high school. It was at Parkway West, and it was the caucus that they had, the Trump caucus deal back in April, and he comes strutting up to me, and he says, "Hello, Todd," and I go, "Oh, my God."
Do I have detention?
I did. I thought, what did I do now? I had that feeling in your stomach where everything just kind of like sinks into your...
Freedom principles here, handing out demerits.
Yeah, and I thought, but he goes, "No, it's me, Byron." I go, "Oh, wow, I thought you were my assistant principal," because the assistant principal was always the guy that handed out the beatings. You know what I mean? The main principal, he was just like, he would like pawn that off to the assistant principal. So I thought Byron was going to give me a
hands
beating.
out the beatings. That's why they call him the ass prince, because he leaves prints on your ass.
Beatings with
assistant
hands.
principal. That's a pretty good one, I think.
I like that one. Hey, you'll have to save that for one of the brag jokes. By the way, that your lovely girlfriend, I didn't know that she came up with some of these. Because part of them, a lot of people have said, it's fun to listen to you guys talk, but I like before you come back into the show where Joey does a little intro and like there's little jokes and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Those are apparently the highlight. And I didn't know that your girlfriend actually wrote the majority of those.
Yeah, sometimes I'll say, all right, we had an actor on and we had someone from the horse track on. I need 2 jokes. What do you got? Mm-hmm. And then she just spits something out on topic every time.
And that's right, because the last one she said it. And now here's Todd Schowalter, who Joey says has a horse face, Todd Schowalter.
Exactly. She's not always creative, but it's straight to the point.
Oh, but it really is.
It's blunt.
Zinger. Oh, and it hurts, too. I mean, I seriously cried. Okay. Well, when we come back, we're going to have my assistant principal or somebody like that, Byron Keelin, come on. In the meantime, I'm Todd Schowalter, along with my good buddy Joey V. It's the Right Mind Show. We'll be right back.
Coming up next on the Right Mind Show with Todd Schowalter, the fight against Amendment 3 and abortion with Byron Keelin of Freedom Principle, Missouri. Welcome back to the Right Mind Show with Todd Schowalter on NewsTalkSTL. And now a man who is clinically diagnosed as tardy, Todd Schowalter.
Now we're back. I'm Todd Schowalter along with my buddy Joey V. And Mitch in the background, still doing absolutely nothing. And on the line now from freedomprinciplemmo.org is Byron Keelin. How's it going, Byron?
Good. How are you doing?
What do you actually want to talk to us about?
Well, what do I want to talk to you about is the Amendment 3.
Missouri Amendment 3. You're exactly right. Go in and explain that a little bit further because people do not understand what's all involved.
Yeah, what it is, it's the pro-abortion or the pro-genocide group, as I call them. They got a ballot initiative for to change our Constitution in November that would allow abortion up to the time of birth. So that means in partial birth abortion. That means the day before your child is delivered or the day of, they can actually abort that kid at 9 months. And the simple fact is that the other thing it does is that it calls gender affirming care as reproductive rights. And so what that does is that it opens the door to allow the state to come in and take your child out of your control and send it to the butchers who are going to do transgender mutilation on your son or daughter. And, they're only talking about the abortion thing. Well, and, it's only going to allow abortions. And, they're even trying to stipulate that it won't even allow abortions up to 9 months. They're saying really just 24 weeks. And it's like, no, because they remove all of the laws regarding abortion. So a teenager, they can go get an abortion at a clinic by an unlicensed doctor without parental consent. They can, like I said, it eliminates the SAFE Act, which is the bill that was just passed a couple years in 2023 to protect children from child mutilation and hormone blockers, and it will also allow men who think that they're women to have access to women's locker rooms and in changing rooms without and you wouldn't be able to pass any kind of state law to stop those types of things. It is really a bad bill, and people need to really pay attention to this, because I know that there are some conservative moderates out there who think that we should have exceptions to abortions, and I understand that.
but the thing is that this isn't what this bill is doing. This is allowing.
Yeah, and they always, it seems in any of these bills, there's all kinds of pork that's like, put into it, on purpose, but, hopefully it'll fly under the radar. And now, is this one of those things that where people are going out with petitions and trying to get something to change something, or that's pretty much driven by outside, billionaires and stuff? Okay, and people have to, you have to understand that too. I mean, and that should be, and that's a whole problem. That should not even be allowed. Okay, I don't think you should be allowed to come from outside, pay people to get fake petitions to try to change our Constitution. But, that went back to the last session of the House, and that didn't pass either. So I think that would nip a lot of that in the bud. But then because of that, I think that's why we have situations like Amendment 3 that even have to be considered that are just so, perverse. I mean, that anybody with a lick of common sense would know that this is just barbaric. That why are we even having to have a law against it? It's like, I need a law to, not to, push my grandmother off a bridge. I mean, why would you have a law against something so stupid? But we do, and this is the state that we're in at this point.
Yeah, I mean, we're constantly being challenged by all of these out-of-state dark money groups, to change our laws because the Democrats can't win an election honestly, and therefore the only way that they can win is by amending our Constitution with our lax ballot initiative laws. And we tried to get the legislature to address this issue, but Mary Elizabeth Coleman in the ninth hour, in football terms, basically fumbled at the 1 yard line and let the Democrats pick it up and run it for a touchdown. And then now, tried to save face by filing this lawsuit challenge at the last minute. But again, things like this, Jay Ashcroft, shouldn't have even certified this thing as legal because it did violate the state constitution. And so we just play this game of losing because we don't want to fight. We don't want to look like, we don't want to push back on things. We don't want to look like we're mean. We don't want to be called names and stuff. And so we constantly are always on the defensive, and we're always constantly losing our freedoms because Republicans who are supposed to protect the freedoms lay down like dead horses.
You can't be a wimp. You can't be a wimp. And I tell my kids, I'll tell anybody, I mean, the bully's going to keep picking on you until you stand up and punch him in the chin. And I'm not saying we have to be physical, but from a metaphorical standpoint, it's time for us to stand up and be a little bit more aggressive on our own and say we're not going to take it anymore. Well, Byron, you're always a pleasure.
Fight.
So. You got to fight. You got to fight. Well, you're always a pleasure to have on the show. You always have a lot of interesting stuff to bring to the table, and we'll be talking to you before the election. So until next time, I just want to say thank you.
Well, great. And I encourage you people to go to freedomprinciplemmo.org and join us as members, but also you download talking points on the amendments and get educated about the things that's going to be on the November ballot.
Perfect. What's that again? Freedom Principle. Say it again.
freedomprinciplemmo.org.
Just like in VOTE-TODD.org. That's a whole other thing. Well, thanks so much for being on the show, Byron. I appreciate it. Until next time, we'll talk to you soon, okay?
My pleasure, and thanks for having me on, Todd.
Well, that was Byron Keelin. What do you think of that? He has a lot of interesting stuff to talk about Amendment 3, which is kind of strange. You think about, just things that they can sneak in when you think it's for something. I mean, it'd be like me saying, okay, I don't think red lights, Joey, should be, I don't think we should stop for them anymore. And you say, well, I think they do. And I say, well, I don't care. I have a huge petition, and we're going to say that they're not valid anymore. But along with that, I'm going to sneak in a whole bunch of other stuff like, I get your lunch money and stuff that you don't even think about. That's usually what they do. They call it pork in the business. We're sneaking pork in, and I think that's really, really an offensive term towards pigs. But that's what they call it.
These amendments should be like tropical storms, where they give them a different name every time there's another one. Because I don't know if you remember a couple of years ago, Amendment 3 was trying to legalize marijuana.
Really?
So now Amendment 3 is trying to legalize abortion, but it's a different amendment. So these potheads are going to vote for something they forgot if they voted for it before, and they don't even know what they're voting for.
Well, maybe they could retire the number.
Exactly. Hang it up in the rafters. There should be Amendment like 9,200 or Amendment Todd.
Oh,
well, not that it should be named after you, but the tropical storms, it's usually a lady's name, actually.
Why is it always a lady's name? Is it always a lady's name? I mean, it's just because what is it now? It's like an F. It's like what?
Francis.
Francis, and it's never like something nice. It's always like one of these old lady names. You ever notice that too?
Gertrude is coming through and taking all your furniture and destroying all your houses.
I think that is going to be the next one because the G follows the F, and so it is. I bet you if we had to go to the track like we did last weekend and bet on what the hurricane name is going to be, I bet you it's going to be Gertrude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you know what?
To place.
You're gonna
we
win.
don't want to be greedy. We're not going to say to show.
That's right. We do win,
and
place,
we don't want to say
show.
win. Yeah.
That way we win either way. And I always win when I'm with you, my friend, who's now my running mate, my new campaign, because that's what I got to do.
The horses inspired us to be good running mates to each other.
I like that. See, this is why you're the marketing guy.
We actually asked the waitress because we won so many in a row. We're like, how do you guys make money around here? She's like, I don't know. I hope we tipped her good.
Well, that was like after she disappeared for I think she took a nap because then I had to go find her, and then there she was curled up in the corner. Oh, you guys want something? No, just our check, please, because it was like the next day, wasn't it? Was it already Sunday?
That may be a trick on how they get more people to work there. You push back the door to go back into the kitchen looking for your credit card, and then they throw an apron on you, and you got to go be a dishwasher.
Is that what it was? They gave me the apron, but they didn't make me wash any dishes. And
okay.
They just gave me a shovel, and so go clean up after
Scoop, zip, oops.
Go get Lucky Dan cleaned up here on the track, yeah, along with Stan the Little Man. Well, hey, I've had a good time today. Have you had a good time?
Great time.
Oh, I always have a good time. Yeah, well, Mitch hasn't done anything today because he's become a socialist. We got Andy who's AWOL. We got Mitch who's a socialist. The whole place is going to hell in a handbasket. But hey, we're patriotic and we are running for office, right?
Mm-hmm. I'm going to vote for you. You vote for me, and that should seal the deal.
All done. Yeah, well, okay, that's going to do it for us. And like I always say, if you don't have a right mind, you don't have a mind at all. Hey, this is Todd Schowalter with my buddy Joey V, and this is The Right Mind Show. Till next time, bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to The Right Mind Show with Todd Schowalter. To find out about all things Todd, go to StudioTodd.com. We will see you next Saturday night at 5 p.m. right here on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL, and always streaming online at NewsTalkSTL.com.